Welcome to Wealth Coffee Chats, folks, for your daily live updates. Get the most out of today's episode by participating in the chat. Make sure you ask some questions, be part of the conversation, have a bit of fun, grab a coffee or a tea, take some notes, and get ready to start your day, folks. Quick few housekeeping rules, though. No spamming, no advertising or self-promotion in the chat. That's not on. Be kind and respectful to everyone when participating. And most of all, have a good time. Real estate investing can be your biggest asset. It also can be your most expensive asset when it comes to getting it right or getting it wrong, folks. It can be time-consuming, stressful, and that's why here at Positive, we have what's called a 6-star team, a full-service team that provides integrated wealth and property investing solutions and services simply designed to help you progress towards your goal of passive income through your property portfolio, folks. Make sure you check out our other podcasts on the Positive Mentor Network. Not only is there Wealth Coffee Chats, there's the Urban Property Investor. Drops every Wednesday with straight talking investing strategies and lessons with Sam Saggers. Property Investor Tales. This is where our clients, you guys, share real life stories from property investing, hosted by some of our advisors and strategists. And that's done every fortnight, dropping every Monday. Wealth, Wine and Wisdom, folks, that debriefs the week that was in the world of finance and property, hosted by yours truly, Jason Witten and Andy Fenton on Fridays. Hey, good morning, folks.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another Wealth Coffee Chat.
Hope you're well, folks, wherever you are.
There it is, team. Morning. Morning, wherever you're tuning in from today.
Early bird gets the worm, they say. Here at Positive, we offer a 6-star team. It's a team that help you at every stage of your wealth creation journey.
Hi, it's Karen Chavez here, one of the property investment coaches here at Positive Real Estate with the Positive Mentor team. I'm really excited to be here today. It's Australia Day. I personally love Australia Day as a holiday. And it's not so much about Australia Day, but it's like this wonderful little bonus day you get in January where, I don't know about you guys, but I love setting goals, right? So I've already set my goals for the year. I did that right away back kind of just before New Year's. I kind of sat down. I always take a day out after Christmas and just kind of set myself up and like, what do I need to be doing this year? And getting a plan in place. And then the year kicks off. So here we are, we're 3 weeks into 2026. And today is an awesome day just to kind of stop and just revisit the goals that you set 3 weeks ago and make some adjustments, because we don't want to end up in June and suddenly find out that we're well off track with our goals. So I always like to use Australia Day as a bit of a day or I switch off from everything else and just enjoy a bit of a reset early in the new year and get myself on track and make sure I'm on track with my goals. Now, today, I've got a really exciting story I want to share with you. I wanted to share the story of one of the clients that I work really, really closely with, who's Patrick. Patrick started working with our team here at Positive Real Estate back in August 2013. So yes, we are in 2026 now. So that's 12 and a half years now that he's been part of our network. And when Patrick joined in August 2013 with his wife, they wanted to set themselves up for retirement, get some investment property, and really, make sure that they were on track for some future goals. Just after they joined, though, Patrick had some uncertainty around his job and his contract, which caused them to have to just take a step back for a moment while they got that sorted out, and then from there be able to pick up and get going. However, they got to 2026 and all of a sudden one of the big D's of life happened, and there was a marriage breakdown, and Patrick ended up going through a divorce. And in that divorce, he actually lost everything. So he needed to take some time out, rebuild, and get himself in a position where he was able to start taking some action again. Early 2022, Patrick came to me, excited. He finished to rebuild. He was at a point where he had a deposit again and literally he had no property. He actually lost pretty much everything, including a chunk of his super in his divorce, which is not uncommon for that scenario. And he was now in a position where he had a deposit and wanted to get back on track with rebuilding his assets, rebuilding his financial future, and setting himself up for a comfortable, successful retirement. When he came to us, now we always talk about the journey being a good 10, 15 years, depending on your circumstances. So Patrick was already in 2022 on a critical path. We were talking about a 14-year time frame there for him to be able to hit retirement and achieve his outcome. And that's a critical timeline. So Patrick was aware of this. And in his words, and I know he's going to watch this, so hey, Patrick, and I'm sharing this with his permission. In his words, he had no time to lose. He didn't want to make mistakes, and he wanted to be aggressive in his strategy. Now, one of my roles here as a mentor with our clients is to ensure that they are looking at all facets of what they're doing with their investment strategy. So it's okay to be aggressive, but we also want to make sure that we're managing risk, we're understanding where risk might be, and we're putting measures in place to make sure that that's being taken care of. Because one of the worst things that can happen with investing is someone goes into this hoping and praying that everything's going to be amazing, and then something changes in life, and suddenly, or in their strategy, or in the market, or with their properties, and they've got no buffer, and then they're maybe even forced to sell property prematurely, which actually doesn't help them achieve their goal. Success in property comes from holding onto your property through the good and the bad times to get an outcome down the track. So Patrick is awesome. He listens to that advice. He meets with me every single month and has done pretty much since 2022. He meets with me every single month, and we just keep our finger on the pulse with where he's at, what's going on with his portfolio, what's happening in the market, what's happening with his life, where's his risk, where's his opportunity, and just keeping that momentum going. At the start of this year, Patrick officially joined what we call the 1% Club here in Positive Real Estate, where you have 3 or more investment properties, which was one of his primary goals, was to hit that milestone. And he's still got a few more goals to hit, but that was one of his key ones. So that's 4 years pretty much that we've been working together, and he's reached that goal. I'm going to tell you how he did that and what he did. So Patrick started in 2022, and with his deposit, we wanted to get that deposit into 2 properties. So we looked at a couple of different options, and he went into a house and land package in Melbourne in the Northwest Growth Corridor, and he went into that at a 90% loan to value ratio, so that there was deposit remaining to look at a second purchase. Now, at this point in time, Patrick was in a situation where he didn't have his own home either, but he was in a situation where he was, relatively comfortable. Where he was living was good. He was paying a lower rent, and it made sense for him to stay in that environment as long as he possibly could and get his investment strategy going. So by using the 90% loan to value ratio, he was able to keep some deposit aside from that first purchase, and then he put that deposit into a second purchase, which was an off-the-plan property in Canberra. We went to Canberra because we wanted to make sure he had yield in his portfolio. So yield is important. Capital growth is important, but so is yield. And we want to make sure that there's balance in a portfolio, maximizing tax deductions and keeping that cash flow there at a sustainable level that someone is able to hold onto their portfolio long term. While we were waiting for Canberra to complete, so Canberra completed late last year. While we were waiting for Canberra to complete, his living situation evolved, and it became apparent that he was going to need to buy a home to live in sooner rather than later. So he had the deposit there to be able to do that. So we helped him with getting access to lending, and he was able to purchase his own home and moved into his own home, which is great because now Patrick can actually employ a debt recycling strategy so that he can actually pay his home down faster and get to a point where he's starting to pay off investment debt as well. Because all of these things are going to help him with his retirement plan. Once Canberra completed, we were able to refinance the first property he purchased, which was in Melbourne. That property was able to be refinanced to an 80% loan to value ratio, which got him some better interest rates. He had some equity in his home and he was able to access that and also do some debt recycling. And he was able to buy another property almost immediately. So he bought a completed property in Sydney, which settled at the start of this year and officially put him into the 1% club. So he's now got 3 properties diversified across Melbourne, Canberra, Sydney, as well as his own home. The other thing that Patrick did last year was he decided to set up a self-managed super fund and purchase a property in there. But what he actually did, which is quite smart, was he and his sister, who is also on her own, they decided to join forces, combine their super into a combined self-managed super fund together, and they were able to purchase a luxury townhome in Brisbane. Now, if they had gone out separately to purchase property, they would have been buying lower grade property. But by combining forces, they've been able to purchase something that's a luxury townhome that's going to get them well above normal market returns over time and set them up for a really great outcome in super. What we did with super was make sure that the lending strategy in there, they're borrowing at a loan to value ratio that ensures they can pay that property out in 9 years' time. So we've crunched all the numbers, we've worked out what that looks like, and we've got them on track for how that's going to play out. So I'm going to share Patrick's portfolio in a sec and what his projection is into the future. So Patrick, we'll go through this when we catch up in a couple of weeks. Well, over the last few years now, I've really got to know Patrick really well. And one of the things that I really love and respect about Patrick is his straightforward communication and also his dry sense of humor. Patrick is one of those people that he will tell you exactly what he is thinking. And honestly, as a coach and a mentor, he's a dream client because there is no assumptions. We have very direct conversations with each other, and it absolutely shows in his results. So let me share his portfolio with you. So I've got a little screen share here. Let me see if I can get this tech working well. All right. So this is Patrick's portfolio. I'll zoom in on this in a sec. This is a tool we use with our clients. It's a passive income calculator, and it allows us to really see what someone's trajectory is over the next, in Patrick's case, we're looking at a 10-year time frame here. We can see, what at a worst case scenario, what his outcome would be. And one of the really cool things I love with this tool is we can also start to implement the parts that a client has control of. So, there's 2 parts to investing and getting returns. One is the market, what's happening in the market. There's obviously shifts and changes, and there's no way to accurately predict or have a crystal ball around what the exact market returns will be. So we use some conservative averages in here. We're not here to overstate anything. We just want to work conservatively and then update this on a regular basis with what the real returns are. The other part of this is implementing the parts that a client has control of. So the things that you can control in your own investment strategy. How much money can you save? How fast can you pay down debt? Are you maximizing your tax deductions to bring some extra money into your investment bucket in how you hold property, how you pay down debt? What does that actually look like? Are you losing too much money with properties that are now costing you a lot to maintain them? Right? So all of these things you want to be looking at on a continual basis to just get the most out of every single asset in your portfolio. So let me zoom in and show you some numbers in here because this is pretty exciting. So Patrick's goal here is a passive income of around $150,000 when he is retiring. And we know that to get $150,000 passive income, you need circa around $3 million in your debt-free assets, your net assets. So when we look at this sheet, hopefully this is showing up well on the screen. Let me zoom in a bit more. You've got this equity position, and in 10 years' time, Patrick's looking at around a $3.5 million equity position, right? So more than enough to hit $150,000 passive income goal. There's enough in there that even if he needs to sell off some assets to help pay down debt, there's enough in there to work around some capital gains tax and things like that. And there are some strategies to reduce capital gains tax, which I won't go into right now. That's all part of our exit planning, which with Patrick will be starting in about 4 years' time in a lot more detail, because we want to start that about 5 years out. We can see gross rent. He's got more than enough gross rent in there for the income. It's about how do we get rid of the debt and reduce expenses in his portfolio now over the next 10 years. When we have a look at the properties themselves, we have a plan for him to pay his home out in 10 years' time. We know that the self-managed super fund property, which I've just put in at half value in here because obviously he's got this shared with his sister. There's a plan to have that paid out in 9 years' time. And when I'm doing all these numbers, an additional property will be needed in here in the next couple of years just to round out this portfolio. So that's our next goal with Patrick, will be how to get that next property into his portfolio and keep that moving forward. So that's what that looks like. We're not using anything crazy in here. We're just using some very average growth rates. Again, we update this on a regular basis to bring the real returns into the portfolio and track it. So that's where Patrick's at. I just thought I'd share Patrick's story. He's a rock star. He's one of our fantastic clients. I know he's very, very excited about where he's at the moment. Let me see if I can make myself bigger again. There we go. Don't we love technology? And if you feel like maybe you need a little bit of help around what's going on with your strategy, you can reach out to the team here. If you're already a client, make sure you're checking in with your coach so that you're getting all your finger on your pulse with everything that you're doing. I know I've been doing this for nearly 11 years, and I know the clients that are meeting regularly with us definitely get better results than the clients that sit back and just kind of wait for things to happen for them. We want to be in the driver's seat here. We want all of our clients, absolutely meeting regularly and doing everything in their power to get the most out of their portfolio, managing the ups and downs of the market, ensuring that holding on to property over time and maximizing everything that they're doing. That's how you get real results. So hopefully you enjoyed Patrick's story. I know many people have gone through a similar experience as Patrick with things with life not going the way that you planned them. So marriage breakdowns, death, things like that, things that can happen that can really disrupt someone's future. So don't let that slow you down. Just how do you rebuild from that? How do you keep going? Make sure that you're looking at all the avenues that you've got available to you. And don't forget, it's Australia Day, bonus day for January. Get out there, get your goals. If you haven't set goals yet, get your goals for the year. If you have set goals, stop, check in. Are you, 3 weeks into the year, are you actually actioning your goals and working towards them? Use today to your advantage. Don't just spend the day drinking with your mates. That's it for me. I hope you enjoyed today's Wealth Coffee Chat, and I look forward to seeing you again soon.
Thanks for watching another episode of Wealth Coffee Chat, folks. Make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on your notifications so you never miss a thing when we go live. Improve your portfolio and investing game, folks, with Wealth Coffee Chats live every morning at 8:10 each weekday. Make sure you join us. Previous episodes are also available wherever you get your podcasts, folks, as well as our other podcasts from the 6-Star team here at positivementor.com.au.